welcome back to Fish on Northwest. We are here in the Bait Lab. Bait Lab presentation is brought to you by Sportco or OE. Check out everything you see here, including the Coon-Shrimp at Sportco or OE. And if you're out of the area, go ahead and get online and order up. They do ship. All right, talk a little bit about Coon-Shrimp and curing Coon-Shrimp. Yes, we are in summer run steelhead season, so it's applicable. The amount of time it takes once we get done with this process for them to truly be cured and ready to fish is optimally 2 to 3 weeks, prime after 4 weeks. So we'll be well into the summer season. Could have done this, a month ago to really get you ready, but not to worry. Plenty of summer run season still left, and these are definitely going to be ready for sockeye as the sockeye get to the upper stretches of the Columbia. So we're well ahead of schedule in that regard. So one question I often get is, hey, where can I find uncured Coon-Shrimp because I want to cure them for myself? Now, one thing you got to keep in mind is they need to be flash frozen only after they've been blanched, okay? So we're looking for shrimp that have been caught, blanched, boiled, and then frozen. Raised Baits does a pretty nice job. You can get boxes of 2 pounds of shrimp, Raised Baits. These, again, are blanched and frozen in about a 2-pound bag. You can find those Sportco. I have found them at Cabela's. And another good resource here in Washington, whether you're east or west, and they do ship, at least in the past, Columbia Basin Baits tends to have a good amount or variety of different sizes of shrimp, Coon-Shrimp, that make great baits, whether you're doing it for sockeye, steelhead, and or Chinook. So some areas to go or companies to reach out to if you're looking to find Coon-Shrimp. So what does it take to cure them? Well, they've been blanched, boiled, so that is important because that toughens up the meat. It toughens up where the tail and head connect at the carapace. It makes it a much more durable bait. Don't try to take fresh shrimp off the boat that you might get out of Port Townsend or one of the other ports from the fishermen and try to cure them with this recipe. They're going to take on color, they're going to cure somewhat, but they're not going to be very durable in that they won't be tough. The blanching, the boiling of it, really makes a difference in how durable these fish. So this recipe I've been doing for a number of years. A good number of friends, guides, and professionals in the industry use this recipe. They might tweak it a little bit, but the basis behind a lot of it for them is this recipe that I put out there for Pautzke's years ago for good reason. I have caught pretty much everything swimming on this, to include steelhead, Chinook, Coho, Chum, absolutely, because it's shrimp, and sockeye. And it works very well all times of the year in different presentations. It's going to get it done. So it's a mixture of salts and sugars, Boraxo Fire, Pautzke's Boraxo Fire Red. Now I like to make them dark red. I used to make them in a variety of different colors and different flavors, and I kept records over the years of which ones flat out produced time and time again. I come back to my basic one go-to because it works so well. Dark red, the darker the better, and anise scent added to this after all the additional sweeteners, okay? So this is a combination, and this is not a sales pitch. This is purchasing a handful of items from Pautzke's that you can cure multiple quart jars of shrimp with. If you price out purchasing cured Coon-Shrimp, you're going to see that it can be extremely expensive or very expensive. So if you want to take the time to do this, yes, there's an investment. Like anything we do in fishing, there's an investment, but this stuff will last over time, and you're going to be able to cure several pounds of shrimp on your own and give that a go. So we start off, it's a combination of egg juice, Boraxo Fire, some krill powder or liquid krill. We have salts and sugars of different sizes, and it's just a combination, and it's pretty simple. In this container here is a 1/4 cup of each one of these products. I have refined non-iodized sea salt. I have granular white sugar. I have rock salt, and I also have refined natural sugar in its natural state, which is a larger granule of sugar. Okay, so basically, this recipe works in that it begins to cure and or get into the meat of the shrimp early because of the small granulation, and then it also maintains and sustains for a long time. Now, there's a lot of different cures you can utilize out there, different liquids you can put to them, and they'll fish for a week or two. But this cure, I guarantee you, will last in your fridge. I have had shrimp fish absolutely fantastic. They've been in this brine, in the fridge, not the freezer, in the fridge for up to 4 years, and they continue to fish and perform very well. So ultimately, I know some guys that will cure this up. They'll use them a year later. They cure all their shrimp a year ahead of time because it works so well the following year. So anyway, there's a number of products that go in here, but it's for the durability of the bait it creates and how long it's going to last in your refrigerator. So I start off with Pautzke's Red Egg Nectar. This is nothing more than 100% egg juice is the basis behind this. We all know how well shrimp and egg combination works. The egg and sand shrimp cocktail for Chinook and other applications. Anytime you're mixing eggs and shrimp, it has a great effect on fish. This starts off with the nectar, which again is egg juice. Okay, so I put 1 full bottle in, and I'm going to add just a little bit more that I have in this extra bottle here because I know I'm going to need it. Then I'm going to put in all the granulated products again. Non-iodized sea salt, refined sugar, rock salt, and then natural or the brown unrefined sugar for larger granule, and then also a 1/4 cup of your dark red BorX. All these ingredients, the salts and the sugars in the BorX, 1/4 cup of each. Okay, it seems like a lot, but over time it is absorbed into the shrimp, and you'll end up with a little bit of product in the bottom of the jar, but not a whole lot. Okay, so we're going to do that. Stir this around a little bit just to kind of loosen it up. Now it takes a while for this stuff to break down. The early onset, it gets going, but over time, it really starts breaking down, absorbing into the shrimp. Okay. Now that that's in there, we got that nice slurry going. I'm going to start dropping in these shrimp. Now, one thing I did was I slightly thawed out my box of shrimp, opened up the bag, and I separated them into 2 different sizes. These here are the bigger shrimp that I get out of the packet. They're ideal for summer steelhead. They're the ones I like to use for the summer steelhead. The smaller ones that I get, and there's usually more of the smaller ones in each bag that you get, each 2-pound bag. Those are ideal for my sockeye fishery, okay? So I start off by putting a bunch in the jar so I know exactly how many need to go back in, and I don't overstuff it. I don't cram them in there. I don't want to crush them. They're kind of fragile. So you got to take care of them and not over crush them down into the jar, okay? Now you got a couple options. First, I'm going to add deep red color. I'm going to take some of the Pautzke's fire dye, and I know that this is 4 tablespoons in here. I like to put in a couple tablespoons, so half a jar is going to get me the color that I want on these shrimp. The other thing I want to do is I want to put in some krill powder, and typically I go with 2 tablespoons of the Pautzke's krill powder. That simply adds additional krill scent to this, and I make sure I always add that in there as well. Okay. Now I have some space left in the jar. I can top that off with the red fire brine. That works just fine as a filler to fill up the rest of that vacant area, or I can top it off with some more of the nectar. Okay, and I'm going to bring that up almost to the top. I want to leave a little space to be able to move it around, stir it up, and make sure that it stirs up real well. The final ingredient here is going to be my anise. Okay, and this is going to be a good 10 drops out of the vial. All right, 10 to 15. I like to do almost a full pull on that. So the other option, I think I'd mentioned it. So you can go with the Pautzke's krill powder, or you can put 1 bottle of the liquid liquid krill in there as well. Either or is going to get it done. So now that all the ingredients are in here, we're just going to nice and gently start stirring this around a little bit. Okay, I'm not shaking it violently. And one thing I could have done is I could have put the krill powder in my powder mixture to start with. Kind of forgot to do that, so I added it at the end. No big deal. This will all mix up just fine. but don't violently shake your jar, okay? The shrimp, again, they're kind of fragile, and all you need to do is to mix up the contents in here and get it evenly distributed throughout the jar, okay? Now, and you guys have seen me talk about this before, the first couple weeks, I'm gonna actually store this in the refrigerator on the side because the ingredients like to settle to the bottom. If I stand it straight up and down like this, it tends to kind of get clumped up at the bottom, the stuff that isn't quite breaking down yet, and it's a little tougher to get it off the bottom of the jar and remix than it is if it's, excuse me, built up simply on the side. If it builds up on the bottom of the side like this, I can just roll it over. It breaks free relatively easily, and we can continue to stir that. I will go out into my bait fridge at least once, sometimes maybe twice a day for the first couple weeks, and if I have 5 or 6 of these quart jars with the shrimp in there, I'm turning them things over, stirring them up, mixing that up, because the faster that stuff breaks down and absorbs into all the shrimp equally, the faster this jar is going to be ready to fish, okay? The other thing I'm going to do is put on here the date. Today is 6/1/23, and that has anise in there as my extra ingredient. That's all I put on there. I know the date. I know 4 years from now, believe it or not, I could actually fish these if they stay in my fridge. But again, I'm going to store them for the first few weeks on the side, and ideally, in about 4 weeks or so, these will definitely be ready to fish. Guarantee you they'll be ready to fish for sockeye season coming up a couple months down the road. All right, that's going to do it for us here in the bait lab. Hopefully you can take that and work with it, find some success with your own coon shrimp. If you do that, cure it up, get out there and fish, get some fish. Post those pictures up on our social media platforms. Would love to enjoy your success with you through our process of giving you insight. All right. We're going to jump out for a quick break. We come back in studio right after this.